Hi, my name is Jill, and this is my weight loss surgery story. I went to Tijuana, Mexico to Go Light Bariatrics with Dr. Zabalza in March of 2021, and I had the gastric sleeve surgery. And I wanted to share my story so that anybody else who happens to be doing research to possibly take the same path that they can, you can learn from my experience, perhaps apply it to your own situation, glean whatever information that there is to glean from my experience, and make yours better, I hope. So today I just wanted to give you a couple tips about that flight back. So what I did was I had flown on Southwest Airlines from Idaho down to San Diego, and then we were driven across the border with a transport guy that was part of our surgical coordination team. And so on the way back, basically they carry everything. The guy, the bellhop at the hotel, he'll bring your luggage right out to the car. The guy that's going to drive you back to the airport, he's going to load it right into the car. And when you get to the airport, he's going to unload it for you and hand it right to you. And I definitely recommend bringing you some small bills, some ones and fives, so that you can go ahead and tip these guys. We did tip our long haul drivers. We'll say the ones that drove us from the U.S. into Mexico a bit more than that. We gave them, I think, 20 or 30 bucks or something like that. For getting us, back and forth across the border, and it's pretty good drive. So anyway, but they do most of the heavy lifting for you, and you're restricted on how much you can actually lift by 10 to 15 pounds, I think is about the max. And of course, it's going to vary per surgeon. But so my plan was to not have to lift my suitcases. I did have my husband with me, so he did some of the stuff, but I knew I was going to have to be lifting, and we had it over my head, right? Because you have to put it in that overhead bin because ours was too big to go under the seat. And then we had a layover in, I think, Oakland or something like that for 4 hours. And I thought, I do not want to be dealing with this. And then I had done a little bit too much walking when we were in San Diego. We spent one night in San Diego the night before our flight home. So just because of timing and when the flight left, that we had to spend one more night in San Diego. And we did some walking, and I really overdid it, and it hurt my hips quite a bit, actually. So that was more of the motivation for me requesting a wheelchair once we got to the airport that next morning. Was literally my hips were so sore that I could not walk comfortably, and I could not walk at any decent speed. So as soon as we got there, I just asked for a wheelchair. And I would actually honestly recommend that for anybody who's even having the slightest bit of trouble, because if you have a layover, if you have a long walk to do, it is a bit to do. So if you have any questions about whether or not you think that you're going to be able to keep up at the airport, then just get a wheelchair. They'll push you around. Somebody from the airline will push you, or your companion can push you, depending on the airline, of course. In my case, my husband was able to just push me around. So a couple things that I didn't do properly was I didn't take the broth out of my checked bag. So once I got the wheelchair, and we checked the bag first, and then I waited for the wheelchair, got the wheelchair. I pulled my water and my protein shakes out of my bag, and I had that in my little carry-on bag that would just go right underneath the seat in front of me. But I forgot to grab that broth. And that became a problem later because we had a 4-hour layover, like I said, and I really, really, really wanted something savory. I just wanted something other than water, and that was pretty much all that I could get, and there was no option for any type of broth. There really wasn't even, so then we thought, well, we'll just find a soup, and I'll just eat around whatever's in the soup. There wasn't even an option for soup. But anyway, so I did make that mistake. I'm not pulling that out. But not having that bag and having my water and my protein shakes was a huge, huge advantage. And I know you think, well, how did you get water and a protein shake through TSA? Well, I had my surgery paperwork. And as we went through TSA, I pulled out the stuff and I said, this is for a surgery that I just had that I need to be drinking frequently throughout this day for my recovery. And I had the paperwork to back it up. And they said, okay, no problem. And so then they sent me through a little bit of a different line. And then they actually scanned my bottles individually through a little liquid scanner. And then they were, of course, sealed I had not opened them at all. And then I passed right on through, and I was able to take a couple protein shakes and a couple bottles of water with me, which was ideal, let me tell you. So then when we got to the plane, I was able to just sit there in the wheelchair, and I didn't have to walk. I didn't have to really do anything. It was I've never done that before. I've never used a wheelchair in an airport before, and I tell you, my hips hurt so bad, but I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I did. So that's my recommendation. If you think that you're not going to be able to keep up in the slightest little bit, please ask for a wheelchair. They're there. If you have the ability to check your bag, check your bag. Don't try to have to deal with that on top of everything else and trying to have to put it up. Now, if you have a bag that just goes under the seat, then throw it on your lap in that wheelchair and wheel away. But make sure also that you pack a little bit of something that's going to help you get through that if you have a layover somewhere. So make sure you put your broth in your carry-on bag, and take your protein shakes, take your waters, and just disclose them as you go through TSA, and have your surgery paperwork there. And they're going to work with you 9 times out of 10, I'm sure. So that is my recommendation for you. And of course, my tip for you always is, before you have the surgery, take pictures of yourself at several different angles. Take your measurements, your neck, your arms, your bust, your waist, your hips, your thighs, and your calves. Take those measurements and get your weight before you leave for that surgery, and as close to leaving for that surgery as possible. And if you have any other questions about any other tips for flying, or any of that kind of stuff after your surgery or even before your surgery, please leave them in the comments. Let me know. I'd be happy to make a video about anything that I experienced during this, and I hope that my experiences will help you. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, the dream is that we are going to be sharing a lot more beyond the weight loss surgery. We're going to be sharing this new found freedom and life that I'm going to have with new health, right? So we have some property in the Midwest. We are planning on doing some fun stuff on that property and remodeling an earth house or an underground house or a berm house, whichever way you want to call it. We have lots of projects that are going to be coming, of greenhouses and all sorts of stuff. The channel is called Reclaim Junkies because that is my little hobby, I guess you'd say, that I do on the side, and I'd like to share it all with you. So God bless you and have a good day.